Hello.
Hello.
Hello, and welcome to Laughbox.
Laughbox, the podcast for the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor. And now, here's your host, Chip Lutz.
Well, here we are. It's time for Laughbox. Yes, Happy New Year. New year, new episode. For those of you who don't know, I've got two podcasts. One is Leadership Happy Hour, and I've got this one. And this episode is one that I did the recording for Leadership Happy Hour, but I thought it was something that AHCH Laughbox would like because it's about training your brain. One of my New Year's resolutions was to try to be a little more present, try to maybe meditate once in a while, but my brain is always going everywhere. Well, this episode's guest, Ariel Garten, created a product called Muse that helps you train your brain, helps you realize when your brain is wandering here, wandering there. Fascinating conversation with somebody that is really, really smart. I know you're going to enjoy it as much as I did, so buckle up, get a pencil and paper.
Well, hello, friends, and welcome to Leadership Happy Hour. This is Chip Lutz, the unconventional leader. And today, we're going to talk to somebody pretty cool about something pretty cool on the show. I get to talk to Ariel Garten. We're talking about her product, Muse. I don't even know if you call it product. I think it's more like a life-changing thing. So I'm really excited to have her on the show. Big cheers to you, my friend. Welcome.
Thank you. It is awesome to be here.
Well, it is awesome for you to be here. Awesome for me. For my listeners, I've gone through your stuff. We talked a little bit, but if you could give them the hot skinny on who Ariel is.
So Ariel, that's me. I have a background in neuroscience and psychotherapy, and I'm best known as one of the founders of a amazing device that tracks your brain while you meditate. My background comes from both the arts and the sciences, so I've always been really fascinated by how we create experiences that allow people to transform and how we understand what goes on in the mind so that you can ultimately create the best life you'd like to.
Wow. That's you had that really down and concise. I like that. That's awesome, because I would be like just wandering all over the place if somebody asked me to introduce me, but you did. That was awesome. I'm really excited about our conversation today because it's something that I don't know anything about. I'm always interested in, how the brain works, what's going on in there, because I have no understanding of most things like that. So before we get into it, I'm just going to ask you just a random question just to get our brain going. All right. So back in grad school, you're doing all your psychotherapy things. What was one of the craziest things? Like, you like when you were learning about something, you were just like, man, I can't believe this is actually a thing.
So I'm going to reference what I was doing outside of school at the time, and that was working with the inventor of the wearable computer, who was Dr. Steve Mann, and we had an early brain-computer interface system that we were using to allow people to control the music and the sound environment around them and to make music with their mind. So probably the most mind-blowing moment was the moment of actually controlling stuff around you with your brain.
Wearable computer? I have never heard of that, ever.
The early wearable computing movement is the thing that created the cell phone that you have in your pocket, the Fitbit that you might have on your wrist.
Wow.
Steve Mann was the guy who literally invented Google Glass before Google did.
Wow. That you just completely blow me away. I didn't know there was such thing, because I am going to Google that when we get off our call today. It's like wearable computer. Give me more. Awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about, what you're doing now and, and the Muse. Do I put the in front of it, or I just say Muse?
Just Muse.
All right. Just tell me about Muse.
Awesome. So Muse is a wonderful little device that helps you meditate. So all of us know that meditation is good for you, but many of us don't really know how to do it. You sit down and you try to meditate and your brain kind of bounces all over the place and you're like, what am I supposed to do? What's going on in my mind? There's nobody in there telling me what to do. And you kind of get frustrated and leave. And so as a therapist, I was teaching people to meditate, but sucked at meditation myself. As a neuroscientist, I could see all of the evidence around why it was so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But, struggled with the practice, and my patients struggled with the practice. So in the creation of Muse, we created a device that could actually track your brain while you meditate and give you real-time feedback to let you know when you're in the meditation zone and focused attention and when your mind is wandering, and then give you real data based on your brain after the fact, so you can actually track, you can observe your mental process, you can begin or enhance your meditation practice and be off to the races with it.
So I saw the picture of it. So something that you wear, obviously, and it tracks. But so as you're meditating, does it like say, "Hey, quit thinking about that"? Go back to this, or is that just like after the fact? It gives you kind of like this is what worked and this wasn't. Because I'm with you on the other part as far as like thinking about meditation. Is that I like it in concept. However, in practice, I've got like monkey mind. It's like all over the place.
As do most of us. And having monkey mind is okay. All of our minds wander. The question is, what do you do with your wandering mind? So in a basic focused attention practice, what you're supposed to do is focus your attention on your breath. When your mind wanders, you then notice that you've wandered and then choose, instead of following your wandering thought, to come back to your breath. Except that when you meditate, your mind often wanders and you don't realize that you're wandering. And then 1, 3, 5 minutes, you're on the grocery list. You're like, right back to my breath. If you even know what to do.
Completely explain. That was completely my last meditation experience right there.
Yes. So with Muse, what we're able to do is actually give you real-time feedback during the practice to let you know what your mind is doing and to guide you back to focused attention. So the metaphor we use with it is your mind is like the weather. So when you're thinking distracted on the grocery list, you actually hear it as stormy. And as you bring yourself back to quiet, focused attention, you actually quiet the storm. So the Muse device on your forehead, just like you've got a Fitbit on your wrist, this is a little device on your forehead, tracks your brain activity, sends that data to your phone, which then is able to interpret your meditation and give you the guiding sounds of your own mind.
That is fascinating. So, because now I have to know, like, what are the sounds like? How does it do that? I mean, that's just like I'm completely like bewildered on how this goes.
It is super cool. It really is amazing. So the Muse has sensors on your forehead and behind the ears. They're EEG sensors, the same thing that you have in an EEG machine in a hospital. But these are just really small and sleek, again, very much like your Fitbit. And when you meditate, the EEG sensors are able to detect the electrical activity of your brain. And they're able to know when your brain is focused and when your brain is now wandering. And so looking at just that very simple paradigm, is your mind focused or is your mind wandering? We're then able to assign sounds to the focused and assign sounds to the wandering and everything in between, and then create a soundscape that you really experience as your own mind. And the storm picks up when your mind wanders, and that's your cue to be like, oh, right, back to my breath. And then the sound's quiet. And then when you're really quiet, little birds come and chirp and really reward and reinforce you for staying and maintaining this quiet state.
I don't know if I would want to know what my mind sounds like. I'm just thinking like, what if if I was like having, I started meditating and then I started like my mind wandered and I started thinking about that person that made me angry during the course of the day. I mean, so I would think like, what would the angry sound like? Tell me to quit doing that. So I get back to the chirping birds.
So it doesn't matter what the thought is. What we're just telling you is your mind wandering or is your mind quiet?
Okay.
And so when your mind goes into the angry thought, you just hear the storm pick up. And what we're really reinforcing is it doesn't matter what the content is, because at this moment, you're not going into the content. You're choosing to let go of it and come back to the neutral space. Let go, come back to the neutral space.
All right. So if I was angry, I wouldn't just start playing like heavy metal. That's good.
Not in this version. Maybe a future upgrade.
I only say that because my wife, she likes, a little heavy metal. And so we're driving and she'll be like, have it on. I'm like, why are you listening to that angry music? She's like, it's not angry. I'm like, oh no, that music's very angry. It is very, very angry. I'm more of a mellow 60s kind of guy. Anyway, so,
I'm with you.
So that sounds really interesting. So have people, embrace this? I mean, as far as, seeing or maybe we should start with the overall benefits of, what this can do for you. And then we can get into the, how people are, catching on with it.
So Well, let's actually start with have people embraced it, because it's an easy question to answer.
Oh, okay.
There are literally hundreds of thousands of people who use the device regularly. It's translated into 5 languages. It's used all around the world. 200 different research institutions use it. There's
Wow.
hundreds of research papers that have been written with the device, research studies demonstrating its outcomes. So Mayo Clinic has been running a study with breast cancer patients awaiting surgery to demonstrate that you can potentially decrease the stress of the cancer care process using it. So it's
Wow.
widely adopted.
That is cool. I mean, and that's pretty neat. I mean, because I was thinking about that as well, as far as, with the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor, like one of our sponsors every year is Cancer Treatment Centers of America. And they have a big mind-body, department that, helps people, deal with some of the stressors of cancer, through that. And I was thinking when I was reading through this, I was like, I wonder if CTCA knows about this, because it would be certainly something that I would think that would be good for them to have.
It may well be. And we have thousands of clinicians, doctors, psychiatrists, life coaches, naturopaths, people who would regularly recommend meditation within the course of their own practice.
Mm-hmm.
And the patients would rarely do it. Now they can simply hand the patient a Muse and say, here, meditation would be helpful. Go meditate. Here's this thing. And it makes it very easy.
That's funny. You put it like that. Meditation would be helpful. Now go meditate.
Now go meditate.
Now go meditate. But if you give them one of these, maybe they can actually do it. All right, that's cool. I didn't realize it was all over like that. I mean, I knew that you'd been publicized. You'd done done a TED Talk and some other stuff, and so that's really cool that people get it and are using it. So why would let's get into some of the benefits then of what meditation can do for we can start with just like people, and then we can move maybe into more of like a leadership realm, or if they're interrelated we can just see how that meshes together.
Sure. So there are over 1,000 published scientific studies demonstrating the benefits of meditation, whether you're looking at its ability to improve concentration, to decrease stress, to improve productivity in the workplace, to improve GRE scores. The benefits really go on and on and on. When you look at the particular practice, it might seem like this is a very simple thing you're doing, but we can kind of break it down a little bit to understand how it can lead to some of these benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So in a simple focused attention on the breath practice, what you're doing is, as I told you, putting your attention on your breath. Your mind eventually wanders, because all our minds do. And you then notice that your mind has wandered. And rather than choosing to follow the wandering thought, you choose instead to bring your brain back to a neutral object, to put your attention elsewhere. Now, this simple exercise becomes really powerful because when our mind wanders, a lot of those wandering thoughts are negative, repetitive, stressful, frustrating, and not particularly helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So as your mind wanders into those zones, if you have the ability to actually say, nope, I'm going to choose to take my brain elsewhere, you then improve, both your mental space and your physiology in terms of the impact of those negative, stressful thoughts. So when you do this simple practice, you go from being on autopilot, which is just your brain has thoughts in it and you assume that you're supposed to be thinking the thoughts that are in your head,
Mm-hmm.
to, for some people for the very first time, recognizing that you can have control over the contents of your own mind, that you can choose the thoughts that you are thinking and choose the thoughts that you don't want to think. You can let go of the ones that you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
And once you do that, you can start to realize that all of the stories that you had in your life and in your head that you kept just thinking over and over again, you can choose not to believe and not to buy into, because they don't need to play. They don't have to be true. And the stories that you have about yourself don't necessarily need to be true, and you don't need to replay them. So this starts to work wonders in liberating you from a whole set of preconceived notions that hold you back, a whole set of, frustrating thoughts and ideas that often keep you stuck and have dramatic effects on your physiology when you become stressed about them, and opens you up to a world of potential and possibility.
I like that, because I do realize that the stories, or what I say, the lies that we tell ourselves, are the easiest to tell and they're easiest to believe. And that if I'm telling myself something about myself, certainly I'm going to believe myself because I know me, right? However, some of those storylines are they're just crappy storylines. They really are. Thinking about, some of the things that, I know that for me in my, professional, my leadership life, sometimes my own biggest barrier has been me and the way I think about things rather than, taking a different view. So in those, are there certain say meditation playlists? Like if you had a certain story that you were trying to get past, is there, a different, meditation that you would do to get, change that overall story? Or is it just the simple act of, breathing and meditation? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
So there are lots of different forms of meditation. So you can use guided meditation, for example, to help direct your mind to a different set of thoughts, to, inspire, inculcate a new kind of thinking. The focused attention practice tends to be a sort of foundation practice. And what you learn to do is to just let go of those thoughts and to not buy into them and to stop the storyline from playing. And you also learn to shift the relationship between your thoughts and your body. So typically we'll have, a anxious thought, and that produces an anxious sensation of the body, or there's an anxious sensation of the body, which then produces anxious thoughts in the mind. And with meditation, you learn to be able to sit with sensation without triggering the body thought relationship, without sending yourself down the spiral. So you can feel sensations in your body that you might have previously, been upset about because you're like, oh no, this is anxiety. This thing is awful. I don't want to do that paper or talk to that person. But when you can just recognize that your body has sensations, label them as sensations rather than creating stories around them, you can then start to work with your body and what comes through your life to be able to calm yourself down, calm your physiology, and not create stories about it in your mind.
So is meditation then different from mindfulness, like a mindfulness practice, or are they interrelated? I mean, because when you were describing it, it sounded like a lot like I would do like in a regular mindfulness thing is like, trying to really pay attention to what I'm feeling, why I'm feeling it. And, taking some breaths, during the course of it, or was I meditating and I didn't realize it?
You were doing both. Dum, 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 dum.
Shut up. No way.
Whoa. So
I
meditation,
am so higher level. Bam. There you go.
You got a twofer there. So meditation is the practice. So meditation is the thing that you do regularly that can build the skill of mindfulness. So the definition of meditation is a practice or a training that leads to healthy and positive mind states. And there are lots of different forms of meditation. Many of those forms of meditation build the skill of mindfulness. That's why some of them are called mindfulness meditations.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
And mindfulness, if we just want to clarify further, is the present moment, non-judgmental, intentional attention to your thoughts, feelings, sensations, or surrounding environment. So when you're being mindful, you're being aware in the present without judgment of what's going on within you and in the world.
Awesome. I had a guy on the podcast, a couple of months ago, and we talked about technology for mindfulness. He actually uses technology to help people become more mindful. And, we went through an exercise where he had me hover my thumb over my Facebook app on my phone just to see, like, how does that feel? What do you want to do? And I was just like, I want to hit the button. So it was interesting to say the very least, but it was a different take on, actually leveraging technology instead of using it to distract you from being mindful. Anyway, I went down a rabbit hole. Cool. We're not talking about that. We're talking about Muse. So, what would be the, obviously you said that, I can change, if I'm practicing mindfulness, meditation, I can, change those stories. I can release some of those stress, but what are some of the other things like, say organizationally? Let's say, are there organizations that are taking this to the next level where they're just like, all right, we're all going to take some time out here because we know this is good. We're going to be a little less stressed, maybe a little more productive. Or is we have most organizations haven't traversed to that place yet?
So a lot of organizations are coming over to the meditation side because the evidence around it is there. Aetna did a study with their employees and demonstrated that they got the cost of the meditation program back many-fold in terms of productivity and health benefits. So when we look at an organizational perspective, there's lots of studies that demonstrate that when you bring meditation into an organization, you improve productivity, You improve teamwork. So when you let go of the stories about what somebody might be thinking about you or how they're going to hate what you just did, or how you're frustrated at them, all of a sudden you can start to collaborate much more effectively. There's also a lot of studies looking at absenteeism and presenteeism. So both increasing the number of days that somebody's in the office, as well as increasing the presence of somebody who's there, their ability to actually be present to their work and be on the job and do what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, to differentiate that, so to say, like, opposed to just, the 40-hour week where you're there that time, not all of which time is productive time. They're actually looking to see, like, what the application of this is for actually being present and productive time in that type of work week.
Exactly. Presenteeism.
I've learned a new term, presenteeism. I like that. That you should write a book and call it presenteeism, because that would, I would buy that.
It's a lovely title.
It really is. I've never heard it before, but I'm going to start using it. I will give you credit for it completely.
It's not mine. No credit required.
Oh no, I'm going to give you credit. Hey, I was telling everybody, I was like, I was talking to this person, Ariel, on my, podcast. She is so smart. She told me about presenteeism. I'm like, yeah, I'll give you props on that.
So to continue on with organizations a little more, we've been doing a number of programs with corporations using Muse. So we'll come in and we'll give people a headband for 3 weeks and training in a program, and you start to see people meditating together, and you start to see teams actually talking about their meditation, making it a part of their daily routine, making it a part of their practice at the beginning of a meeting, and really seeing the outcomes. There was a study that was done by the Catholic University of Milan implementing a Muse meditation program, and they were able to see significant outcome and benefits just from a short program.
Really? That is really cool. I think about things from, like, the world I grew up, and I know that, like, I grew up in the military, and the military I grew up in, this would have been like, no, we're not doing this. But I've seen a lot of studies as of late where they're really trying to integrate mindfulness and meditation practices into the overall, like, stress reduction toolbox for, military people, because they know that it works. However, they found in the studies that people are more accepting of it if they're told about it from another service member, which I thought was also fascinating.
Yeah, you're seeing meditation roll into the military, both from a preventative perspective to help with stress reduction. There's a lot of work on PTSD and using meditation for PTSD. You're also seeing it actually roll into performance improvements and helping people be more present, be able to engage with their colleagues more effectively, manage their mind state when they're in the hardest possible time. It's the same way that you see meditation commonly used with athletes now. I can't think of a single, truly high performance athlete who doesn't meditate.
Interesting. I probably need to start meditating more. I just, I try to be mindful, but evidently I need to work harder. So, which is stressing me out.
Which is stressful. Yes. You don't need to work harder. You just have the opportunity to take some time to engage in a practice that you may find beneficial.
That sounds much, much nicer, much, much nicer. So let's look at it. When, you're doing all this, what actually is going on in your brain? That's, because that's the part that it kind of, I don't really always get. You talked about some of the benefits, obviously, but, what is going on in your brain when this happens?
So what's going on in the brain is actually super cool. So in a basic focused attention practice, there's sort of often a dynamic at play between the prefrontal cortex, the front of your head, and your amygdala. So the prefrontal cortex is the area just behind your forehead, and it's responsible for your higher order processing, for your, organization, your planning, your attention, your inhibition. It's the area that sets us apart from other animals. It's the part of us that is developed as humans. Mm-hmm. So the bad news is, as you age, your prefrontal cortex thins. But there's a study from Dr. Sarah Lazar at Harvard who demonstrated that individuals who have a long-term meditation practice can maintain the thickness of their prefrontal cortex even as they age. I'm waiting for the mic to drop.
Yeah, exactly. I had like a stunned silence on that. So I'm in my 50s. Am I too late? Is it too thin already?
It's never too late and it's not too thin. So there's another study by, you're doing just fine. There's another study by Dr. Eileen Leaders, and she looked at aging in the brain and meditation's ability to reverse what aging looks like in the brain. So she did an MRI study of meditators, long-term meditators, and non-meditators. Now, she defined a long-term meditator as somebody who'd been meditating for 5 years. And when she looked at the brains of these long-term meditators, they looked like they were on average 7.5 years younger than the brains of non-meditators.
Really?
Yeah. So
That
at
is
any
crazy.
point, totally crazy. And at any point, you can start your quote unquote long-term meditation practice, get 5 years in, and potentially gain a few years.
Well,
I say that tongue in cheek, but it's a fascinating outcome.
Well, but that makes quite a bit of sense to me. In that my mom, she's been meditating. I remember she had a meditation group that she went to every Tuesday night when I was growing up. My dad actually would call it seance. Hey, you going to seance tonight? Because he never really. It was kind of funny. He only did it to razz her a little bit, but she's in her 80s and she is really, really mentally with it. So she must have like a thick cortex.
I can't comment on your mom's cortex. I haven't personally seen it. But there is the potential that meditation has conferred benefit over time.
She's been doing it over, 5 years. That's for darn sure. So that's interesting. So, in those studies, then, thinking about the long-term brain health, have they been able to correlate that with being able to fight Alzheimer's or dementia in older people, like people that are people that meditate, do they have less occurrences of Alzheimer's, dementia, or memory loss than other people?
And we'll be right back with that fascinating interview with Ariel. But now it's time for Fun Facts. Fun Facts, where I share facts about humor, laughter, sometimes the absurd. But since we're talking about meditation, I'm going to share a fact about meditation. And this comes from the website mindworks.org. Fact is, meditation makes you happier. People who meditate generally lead happier lives than those who don't. Meditation is known to enhance the flow of constructive thoughts and positive emotions. So, you feeling down? Turn it upside down and meditate.
Hey everyone, this is Paul Ozenkup, president of the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor, inviting you to join us this May 14th through 17th at our annual conference in New Orleans. It's gonna be awesome. The theme this year is Diagnosis Happiness. So we've got experts from positive psychology, neuroscience, therapeutic humor, even comedy, sharing their wisdom on the relationship between humor and happiness. Now, of course, no conference can be all work and learning, so we're going to be right there in the heart of the French Quarter, so you can sneak off, grab yourself a beignet, and see all that New Orleans has to offer. Can't wait to see you there.
And now we'll get back to that interview with Ariel. And the lead-in question was about meditation and Alzheimer's. So let's get back to it.
So there are a number of studies that are starting to look at that, and we're beginning to see correlations between meditation and the potential to, abate age-related cognitive decline. So it looks positive in that direction.
Right.
And certainly it couldn't hurt. And when you look at the rest of the literature around what meditation does in the brain, at any age, even a short intervention of meditation can be helpful. So there's another study from Dr. Sarah Lazar, and she gave people an 8-week course of mindfulness meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And she saw that just after 8 weeks, there was an increase in the gray matter of their brain. So the gray matter is the number of connections that you have in your brain. And Einstein had more gray matter than the average individual. So gaining gray matter is probably a really good thing.
Gray matter, good. No gray matter, bad. I get
Definitely
that.
no gray matter, super bad.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's how you needed to explain it to me, because I'm not that bright. I don't have as much gray matter as Einstein. But
Me neither, man.
so if somebody wants to start getting involved with a meditation practice, I mean, what are some of the easiest ways? I mean, because I obviously recommend getting them the Muse, and we'll get to that at the end. However, for the person that's like, I don't know if it's really for me or not, maybe I could try it out once or twice. What are some things that they could do just to start getting a little bit deeper into it to see if it's really for them?
So the simplest instruction is put your attention on your breath, notice when your mind has wandered, and return it to your breath. And just set a timer for a very short period of time to start. Don't do a 20-minute meditation. Start for 3 minutes.
Okay.
And just do that for 3 minutes. Do
So
that a couple days for 3 minutes.
So not to have like any one particular thing that they're meditating on, just like concentrating on their breath.
So the breath is the one particular thing you're meditating on. So you put your attention on your breath, your mind wanders and it returns. And the easiest way to keep your attention on your breath is simply counting your breaths. So you can count, in 1, out 2, in 3, out 4. And that will just keep you very tightly focused on your breath. Some people, will keep counting for their first year or 2 of meditating and then let go and just keep focus on it.
Mm-hmm.
You can also, so you can do an eyes closed practice where you're focusing on your breath. If you've heard of a mantra-based meditation, that means that somebody's focusing on a word. So you can focus on a word or a phrase. So you might focus on, a positive phrase like, I feel good, or the word love. And then when your mind wanders from it, you come back to it. And what you're really doing is you're training your attention.
Mm-hmm.
So your ability to keep your attention on one thing, and you're training your metacognition, your ability to notice when your mind wanders, to really observe the process of your own mind. And then you're allowing yourself to disengage from that wandering mind and come back to your neutral object.
So what if, all right, so if I start with the counting one and I like in 1, out 1, is it in 1, out 1, in 2, out 2?
You can just count. I mean, nobody can.
What happens if you lose count?
So that means that your mind has wandered. So a common thing to do is to count to 10. And when you get to 10, go back to 1. And often you'll find yourself at 14, which means your mind has wandered away from the task.
Okay, that makes sense, because I'm glad you pointed that out, because if I got to 14, I would think, man, I'm doing really good. Oh, I'll start over again. So, if it's set the limit. Because I would think that if you're counting to, like, if you did 3 minutes, in that amount of time, you could easily get to 100, which might be kind of cumbersome in counting. So I would think that if I lost count, I would just start over again. And I would probably like have a negative story. I was telling myself like, Chip, you can't do this. So, but keeping it smaller would be easier, obviously. Good stuff, man. So I didn't ask you actually how you got involved in all this. I should have started off with that, because it's such an all, you talked about the walking, the strap-on computer. I don't think it was called strap-on.
Wearable computer.
Wearable computer.
Definitely not called the strap-on computer.
Although that would have been marketable. Because like you're going through school, was it that spurred you into this? Because it's so, the concept and putting this product together and getting out to people is so much different from anything I've ever heard, that the path had to have been like really strange. It couldn't have been just like a linear path.
No, it wasn't linear. So I was always an entrepreneur, always making stuff, always wanting to bring it to people. I started working with Steve with this early brain-computer interface system, and the original brain-computer interface technology became the foundation for what ultimately became Muse. And after working with this, I sort of stood back and said, oh my God, this is incredible. Like, this technology has so much potential. We need to bring it to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I got together with my co-founders for Muse, Chris Amony, who is an unbelievable engineer, and Trevor Coleman, who is like the business guy who also knew how to make great experiences.
Uh-huh.
And the 3 of us literally sat in Trevor's basement, week in, week out, coming up with what we could do with this technology.
Uh-huh.
And originally we were trying to control like lighting, sound, stuff in the world with the tech, with your mind. So
Yeah.
focus on the light gets brighter. Relax, the light gets dimmer.
Mhm.
And we ultimately recognized that as cool as that was, the real value of this technology was not controlling the world outside of yourself. It was learning to control the technology inside of yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. And that we had the opportunity when we were telling people to focus and relax and the light changed or the sound changed to actually show people what was going on in their own mind and to kind of open the black box of the brain and make the intangible processes in their tangible and be able to give people a reflection or a mirror into their own states, whether you're focused, whether you're relaxed, where your brain is going. And from that,
Fascinating.
Muse was born.
That is really cool because, like, if you had done it the other way with the lighting, see, I wouldn't have been I wouldn't want to get up and turn on a light. I just would have been trying to like turn it on with my mind, like getting myself angry so it turn on. And see, so it's smart. It's smart that you did it a different way because I would like be sitting there. Because I'm a guy that I remember when my kids were young and like the remote control was across the room. I'd yell up to my son, be like, "Hey, Christian, come here!" And he'd run downstairs. I'm like, "Hey, will you give me the remote control over there?" He's like, "Yeah, okay, Dad." And I was like, "Haha, it's great to have minions." So since they're all gone, see, I would probably be doing the same thing, but I would be using that. I'd be like trying to turn the light on with that. You're super smart. You're like, man, how did I end up on a podcast with this guy?
Not at all.
It's like, that's borderline child abuse. Not really. There's a rite of passage, for children. Anyway.
I think I have been guilty of, like, the other day the milk spilled and I asked my 3-year-old, like, "Hey, can you go get the cloth over there?" And he's like, "I'll get the cloth. I'll clean it up. This cleaning is so fun." I'm like, score.
Yeah, exactly. My grandkids now, they're like, "Oh, this is fun. I'll help you clean." I'm like, "Good. Yes. Keep doing that." Because I know when you turn 13, you will not.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I really enjoyed, talking to you. I mean, so much great information. I'm really, it makes me, I'm going to actually order one of your one of the Muses. I want to say the Muse, like the Google, but I'm going to order a Muse, but then it sounds like it's amusing. No, I'm going to order a Muse. I will put nothing in front of it. I'm going to do it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it'll be cool because it's like something that I've always kind of struggled with, something that I want to do, but I haven't had the discipline to really do it. And so this will help me be a little more disciplined in getting that done.
That's
Awesome.
literally why we built it, because there are so many people who could benefit from meditation but have had difficulty getting into the practice. And so this is the thing that's just like, oh, this is what you do, and it makes it really tangible and really easy.
Awesome. Now, where do people, if they want it, they want to contact you, they want more information, where do you want them to go?
If you want to check out Muse, you can find it at choosemuse.com.
Nice.
And if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at Ariel's Musings, Twitter, Ariel.Garten, and LinkedIn, Ariel Garten.
Very, very cool. Well, like I said, I have really had a really good time talking to you. Super, super. I like talking to smart people because they up my game and it exposed me to things I didn't know before. And I know it's the same for my listeners. But if we were really at a bar drinking, I would give you some kind of drunk dare. But since we're not, I'm just going to ask you a few random questions for my Overstuff Would You Rather book. Are you game?
Game on.
All right. I always apologize in advance because I just never know where this book is going to open to.
Okay, I'm going to drink some water in lieu of my beer.
All right. First question. Would you rather inherit a piece of land between two battling countries or inherit a piece of land near an active volcano?
Definitely near an active volcano.
Okay.
Between two battling countries, it's just hatred. I mean, there are people who hate one another, going at war with one another. Why would you ever want to be in that scenario? Near an active volcano, you have the opportunity, like so many cool Airbnbs right in the middle of a lava field in Hawaii, to, at least in times when the volcano is not active, be able to experience the extraordinary movements of nature and to be close to that.
You really took that to a whole higher level. You're classing up Would You Rather. I like that. All right. Second question. I don't know if you'll be able to class this one up. All right. Would you rather be caught walking nude on a beach by a policeman or have your horn get stuck while your car is behind a gang of Hell's Angels?
100% be caught walking nude. Doesn't bother me in the least.
All right. Good to know. All right. All right. Here, do you have kids?
Clearly the water has loosened me here.
All right. Last question. Would you rather have socially reclusive kids or kids who are angry bullies?
Socially reclusive 100%.
Yeah, me too. Nobody likes a bully at all. Well, I really have enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much for spending a little time and sharing your enormous brain with me on the show.
My sincere pleasure. Now that it's well hydrated a bit.
Because that makes a difference. It really does.
Really does. So if your brain is only slightly dehydrated, like a 2 or 4% loss of dehydration, it can decrease your reaction times by up to 30%.
See, there we go. And that, my friends, was your final big brain thought from Ariel. Thank you so much.
My sincere pleasure. That was a lot of fun.
So there you go. Fascinating interview with Ariel Garten. I'm going to encourage you to check her out. I'll put all her information in the show notes, and she is offering kind of like an ambassador club. If you're interested in the Muse, click on the link. You'll get, I think, 10% off. Yeah, check it out. You got something you want to hear on the podcast, reach out. You can always get me at chip@unconventionalleader.com. And so until next time, this is Chip Lutz saying, we'll keep the laugh on for you.
Thanks for listening to Laughbox. If you'd like to learn more about AATH, visit our website at www.aath.org or email the host at chip@unconventionalleader.com. And if you'd like to be particularly awesome, leave us a review on iTunes. Or tell your friends about how awesome the podcast is, unless you didn't think it was awesome. And then just keep it your little secret. Or tell them it was awesome and then laugh to yourself about how you're going to be wasting an hour of their time while you're out doing something productive, like handing out heads of cabbage at a Miley Cyrus concert. Thanks again for listening, and may the farce be with you.